So it's now been almost a year since Omega and Swatch first announced the MoonSwatch back in March of 2022. And this product launch really took the world by storm back then. The idea of producing a significantly more affordable version of the flagship product of such a major brand was really unheard of until the MoonSwatch. Unequivocally, the MoonSwatch has been a success for Swatch. In the Swatch Group's 2022 annual report, they wrote that the MoonSwatch is a bestseller with over 1 million watches sold. Swatch also says that the demand for the MoonSwatch remains high into 2023, with the approximately 180 stores which exclusively offer the MoonSwatch still struggling to meet demand. This is interesting because it seems like the MoonSwatch has really not been affected by the broader secondary market downturn, and it probably makes sense considering that these watches retail for $260, whereas the market downturn has been seen by brands and watches at a much higher price point. But the point about the number of units sold led me to wonder, how much of that volume are we seeing on the secondary market? And when digging into those numbers, I found something really interesting. This graph shows the number of sales that we've tracked across our sources for each of the 11 MoonSwatch models. You can see that the Mission to the Moon is the most popular, probably because it most closely resembles the actual Omega MoonWatch. The second most popular model is the Mission to Uranus, probably because of the light blue case material and dial, which is very desirable because it looks like the Tiffany blue. And the rest of the MoonSwatch models have a relatively comparable number of sales over the last year, with the exception of the Mission to Neptune, which we've only tracked a couple hundred sales for. So is it the case that simply no one likes the Mission to Neptune and no one is buying it? Well, actually, no. If you look at the prices, the Mission to Neptune trades for nearly 3 times the price of the second most expensive MoonSwatch on the secondary market, which is the Mission to the Moon. We estimate that the secondary market price of the Mission to Neptune is around $1,200 compared to an average market price across all 11 models of just $435. On average, these 11 watches trade for about 67% above their retail prices. So clearly the Mission to Neptune is not an undesirable watch. In fact, it, like the Mission to the Moon, also resembles a watch that is made by Omega, in this case the Omega Speedmaster Blue Side of the Moon, which has a retail price of $13,200 and an estimated market price of $9,800. Thus, the answer to the sales volume question must be found on the supply side. Swatch is probably not making as many of the Mission to Neptune watches as they are the other MoonSwatch models. There were reports when the Mission to Neptune first came out of a dyeing issue where the bioceramic case was staining the wrist of some wearers. This article from Gear Patrol, written in April 2022, shows a picture submitted by a Facebook user of the watch staining the wrist. Given that this happened over a year ago, I would expect that Swatch could have gone and fixed this issue by now and continued releasing Mission to Neptune pieces, but this has probably not been the case. If you look at the month-by-month numbers for the amount of sales that we've tracked on the secondary market for the Mission to Neptune, you can see that there was somewhat of an uptick in December of last year and January of this year, probably boosted by the holiday season, but overall we are still seeing low double-digit numbers in terms of both the number of units listed and sold on the secondary market. I'd be curious to hear from you if you have more knowledge of this situation. Is Swatch severely limiting the production of the Mission to Neptune, perhaps in order to deal with the QC issues? Or is it maybe even the case that they haven't made any new Mission to Neptune watches since the issue with the dyes first came to light? Also, let me know if the statistics on the market price or sales volume of any of the other MoonSwatch models surprised you. I was very surprised to not see a higher number of sales for the Mission to Mars, considering that that watch strongly resembles the Omega Speedmaster Alaska project, which has become sort of a cult favorite over the last couple years. If I were to buy an Omega MoonSwatch, that would probably be the one I'd get. Thanks so much for watching, subscribe if you liked the video, and I'll catch you guys next time.